Good morning, my dear students. It's a pleasure to get back to you. I hope you've all gone through the exercise which I had given in the last session. Uh, let's have a review of what we had learned in the last session. We looked at the essence of marketing. We looked at what an exchange is. We looked at what value is. We looked at satisfaction or satisfy, and then we looked at need. So basically, we looked at what exactly forms, what is the essence, or what are the core things that need to be that form a part of marketing as such. Then we looked at utility. We looked at various forms of utility, various types of utility. We looked at form utility, time utility, place utility, and ownership. And I gave you a small exercise. This is what I was asking you in the morning, in the beginning of the lecture. So I hope you have done it. You can submit it to me. We also looked at the various categories of market, and we looked at what could be marketed, right? So I hope this is built a very strong foundation of what exactly marketing is, how to look at this particular. Today we're going to look at an overview and a history of marketing. We're going to look at the various orientations. So because the history of marketing and the prevailing philosophies of marketing go hand in hand. So we'll also look at the philosophies, which is production orientation, then the product concept, the sales orientation, the marketing orientation, and the societal marketing orientation. So these are the various orientations which an organization can have towards marketing. So these are the various eras of marketing. So to tell you about the history of marketing, most of us would not be very clear when marketing came into existence. And in the previous lecture, I gave you a hint on it. Marketing started up as a small unit, as a supporting service to the salespeople. Right? This is what we talked about. So basically, broadly, the history of marketing can be classified into four eras. We are living in the modern era now, post 1990, and that is not the topic today. But in the future, I'll definitely touch base on this particular topic. So the prevailing we have. Prior to 1920, which was the production orientation. Then we had from 1920 to 1950, we had the sales orientation. And then from 1950, we had the production orientation. And then since 1990, we have the relationship, which is still prevailing nowadays. Now, if you talk about how do I tell you the history, if you look at the dictionary, prior to 1920, you won't find the word marketing in the dictionary. Okay, it was the word market was always there, but marketing was not there. Now, what happened in the production era where Henry, Taylor, Fairbairn, all these the time and motion study engineers, they came up with modern manufacturing, and there's a beautiful movie made on this by Charlie Chaplin, which is Modern Times, where you see the focus was more on production, how you could produce more, and everything was recognized and everything was put. So the focus in this particular era was producing more. It was about producing more. So how we could reduce the cost and produce more. This was the main focus in this particular equation. Due to this, what happened in the initial phase, whatever was produced got sold. But later on, what happened? There are many new companies came into existence, and the market started becoming competitive. And hence, to sell the products, the sales team, so salespeople came. Now these were salespeople who were fast talking people who would aggressively put forward their product and make customers buy the product. So it was not about, it was more about convincing the person to buy a product. This was the prevailing philosophy. We look at these in detail when we move to the next slide. So this was the philosophy and this was the thought process. Now what happened? Now these salespeople who were very aggressive, they did not like to sit in the office, and they did not love to draft quotations. They did not like to write mailers to. So they thought this was a waste of time, and they're not really interested. So they hired an assistant who would be doing all these jobs for them. So marketing, that's how the marketing department was born. Okay, it was a small function that came in to help the sales force, and that's how marketing started from a very humble beginning. Now, eventually, what happened? The person who was sitting in the office, he started analyzing what is happening, and he started because that being he being a more his function being more of an intellectual type, so he started analyzing it, started understanding, and this function over a period of time overtook the sales function. So to put it in the real context, the younger brother became more powerful than the older brother, and this is what has happened in marketing. It started from a small beginning as being assisting the sales team, and then it overcame the main function, the sales function, and it is now the more prominent function. And today sales is a sub part of marketing, not the vice versa. And this is a change which is taking place. And that's how marketing was born, and that's how it is evolving. Now, in 1950, the marketing as an official science was accepted, and the entire philosophy changed. And then it further moved to the relationship marketing. Now, let's talk about the production orientation, which was prevalent before the 1920s. The firm was not concerned about the customer here. It was only concerned of what it can do best. Okay, so what the major focus was how to improve the production facilities in order to produce more. How to reduce costs. This was the major focus in this particular, and the needs, the major policy of this particular era was the needs and desires of the marketplace was not taken into consideration at all. Whatever they could produce in large quantities, that was taken into consideration, and the focus was on that. And it was thought that if you could produce a large quantity of products at affordable prices, the customers would favor those products. So that was the prevailing philosophy. And the management focus was more on the production part and the distribution efficiency. This was the prevailing, this is what marketing orientation is. So to sum it up, I would tell it, time and motion study principles of management were applied to reduce the cost of production and increase efficiency in production, thereby produce more and reduce cost. This is what marketing oriented. Then we moved to the product concept era from 1920 to 1950. In this particular thing, the company started thinking that if I produce products of more superior quality with better performance and innovative features, the product would be accepted. So the focus was more on improving the product and continuous improvement of the product. This was the prevailing one. So producing better products was the focus. Then we moved on to what is the sales orientation. In sales orientation, because the companies produced products in a large quantity, then the improvement in the quality happened. But then most of the products started becoming the same. Everyone was a me-too product, and it was becoming very difficult for companies to sustain. So they thought, let me have a person who is good in sales. We hire them and ask them to sell the product, and that's how the sales orientation came into existence. So here, very aggressive sales technique was used, and the focus was on selling more, and that would result in higher profit. So the more number of units was taken into consideration. The idea was that basically the customer won't buy products until unless you have considerable promotional effort put in, and they have been convinced to buy. So that's what, and this is a prevailing thing today. Now all these orientations which I spoke to you still prevail today. Okay, but the dominating orientation would be marketing. Okay, the sales orientation, you can still find it. You can find it in the insurance product, right? So wherein, or unsought products, wherein customers do not feel a need to buy this particular product. If you talk about insurance, the scenario is changing in India, but yes, it is still an unsought product. So here, a certain amount of communication, from active communication from the company, needs to be made. There needs to be some follow-up, and that needs to be convincing of the customers to buy the product. And then we move to the marketing concept. Now, the marketing concept, basically, if you talk about, is the customer became the focus here. The customer's wants and needs was the main focus of the organization. So basically, it said, if you can satisfy the customer's wants and need, the organization in the process would make profit. That was the philosophy, and the organization objectives were aligned in that way. Now, if you talk about the focus, how can we differentiate the product? Then the USP came into existence. So product differentiation to meet customer wants and needs in a better manner. This is what was offered, and there was integration in the organization activities. So everything was aligned. Initially, all these departments functioned independently, but with marketing, all these functions were organized in a manner that would support the marketing objectives of the company. So marketing objectives became the prime focus of the organization, and all the other corporate strategies and functions were aligned into the marketing philosophy. Achieving long-term goals of the organization was basically to meet customer wants as in a legal and a responsible manner. This is what, and then many new things which came in this particular way. Further, after the marketing orientation, we always looking for more improvement, and that is what happened. Here, and after the marketing orientation, everyone adopted the same thing. So how do you differentiate yourself? They found that in the marketing orientation, most of the transactions, customers would buy a product and again buy a product. So basically, customers, the company started thinking of, we need to build a relationship between, and this was particularly in the 1990s. The relationship with the customer started becoming a prominent part of it. To give you an example, we could look at Big Bazaar. When it came up, they started taking customers' number, they started wishing them a holiday on their birthdays, they started building long-term relationships with the customers, and so that brand recall, brand loyalty, and all these things started gaining prominence. So basically, the focus of CRM was customer loyalty and customer engagement. This is what came, and then we have the societal marketing. This is an extension of relation, because as in the first lecture I told you, business is an social organization, and it has to serve the society by meeting its needs and wants, and that's what the basic objective is. So it's a organism of the society, or a part of the society as large. So in societal marketing, what happens is basically the customers, organization, and a society as a whole. The marketing concept engulfs all these parts. So you have to serve your customer, you have to serve the organization members, so your workers and other, and a society as a whole. So the focus here was, it was not just about serving the customers, it was also serving your internal customers and serving the society as large. So you could, in this particular era, the social impact of the organization was taken into consideration. In this era, we find the CRM, then CSR activities taken in more of the focus into this particular area. This is how it is. The social welfare is the topmost priority. Then we have customer want, and then through that process, the company would gain profit. That's what the customer mean. That's how the company started thinking. To sum up the entire thing, what was the prevailing philosophy? I have just put it all together. In the production era, cost cuts, profits, you have to cut your cost and profits will take care of themselves. This is what was the prevailing thought process in that particular. In the production era, it was a good product will sell itself. This is what the prevailing philosophy was. In the sales era is selling is laying a bait for the customer. So basically tricking the customer to buying your product was the prevailing philosophy. And then came the marketing era, that customer is the king, and whatever the king says right, you have to do it, and that's what the prevailing. And relationship marketing, it was a relation between with the customer to determine the firm's future. So that's what brand building and brand loyalty came to existence. That's all for today. In the next lecture, we'll meet and try to understand more about marketing. Hope you love this session, and see you soon.